This next video will focus on how to fill out the fill-in-the-blank problem type. As you can see, we've already filled out our header information here at the top, so we will dive right into the question types themselves. There are actually two different types of fill-in-the-blank questions. One is your standard fill-in-the-blank, which has a question type of fill-in-the-blank, or FITB. The second type is what we call our fill-in-the-blank select, or FITB select, which allows the user to select their answer from a drop-down list. But let's focus on the fill-in-the-blank standard first. The first thing you're going to want to do is to fill out your question itself with the number of blanks that you want the user to fill out. So here's a good option. A blank is a large organization which is structured blank and carries out specific functions. As you can see, we've got two blanks here, and each of these blanks will be needed to have the user fill out them in the actual application. So the first thing we were going to focus on is having an answer for this first blank. One possible answer here is government. As you can see, I have government as lowercase. If the user does type in uppercase, that is okay. They will still get the question correct. However, spelling is very important with the fill-in-the-blank question type. So you will want to make sure that your answers are spelled exactly the way you would want them to be spelled by the user. If I were to accidentally have an O here, and this were captured during conversion, the only way the user could get this answer correct is if they actually typed in the answer, govern me not. So you'll want to make sure that you're doing extra close proofreading and copy editing when it comes to the fill-in-the-blank types. Now sometimes you will have a blank that actually could be answer with more than one answer. So in this case, government is a correct answer, but another possible correct answer could be bureaucracy. So to show this, we would separate these answers with two uppercase X's. These show us that, hey, there is another answer here that is feasible. So another answer is bureaucracy, and we will type that in here. And now this first blank here can be filled out with either government or bureaucracy as correct answers, and the application will count either one as correct. Now you can see here that we have two blanks instead of just the one, so we will have to have another set of answers. Answers in the fill-in-the-blank template are separated by a comma. This is why we would ask you that you not use anything like a comma when giving your answers for fill-in-the-blank. Fill-in-the-blank really is meant for single or one or two word answers, not for long sentences that might have different punctuation within them. But if you have questions about that, please contact your CDIG representative and they can help you out. To answer the second blank, we would need to type in another answer after the comma. So here, a possible answer is systematically. So now, if you typed in for the first blank the word government and the second blank the word systematically, you would get this answer correctly. Much like the first blank, we could have other answers. So again, we would use that uppercase double X and type in another answer that could be typed in by users, which in this case is hierarchically. Now you can have as many answers as you want for any single blank. So I could continue on using that XX to separate possible answers. But again, note that the user is going to have to exactly match whatever spelling and tense you have used. So you'll want to make sure that you account for all of those when you have your answers. Finally, there's an analysis section here, which is overall feedback that you can have about the entire fill-in-the-blank question. This is normally something like see Chapter 3, Organizations, for more information. Now this will not actually link back to the Chapter 3 in the MindTap ebook or any other ebook you might have associated with this problem, but it will provide text feedback that will be displayed to the user after either they click check my work or once they've completed the entire assignment and submitted their answers, and they can go back through the assignment and see this feedback. This is not a required field, but if you would like to have that feedback in, you can add it in. Similarly, the metadata section here is also not a required field. Currently in the CNOW and CXP applications, we do not capture any sort of metadata that can be displayed to users, But there are forward-thinking applications, such as our MindTap 4 application, which do have these abilities. So many people are utilizing these metadata sections to capture this data in the hopes that we may go back and be able to capture it at a later date for future projects. If you choose not to utilize the metadata section, you can delete it wholesale, or you can delete certain sections within here that you may not need to fill out. So if I'm not going to fill out an LO, I can just get rid of it. Down here is our fill-in-the-blank select problem. So this is a problem where you would have one or more blanks in your question, and you would ask the user to select from a drop-down list of answers that they could select as the correct answer. So we're going to start out real simply and just do a single sentence here that says blank are the things that upset or excite us the most. You will then have to have whatever answers you want to display to the user. You can see here we've got 4 options. You can have more than 4 options. You can have less than 4 options. You have to have more than one. But for any options you're not going to use, you can just delete these. And if you need more, you can add in more letters if you need to. But we're going to stick with the 4 today. So we're going to go with exciters for option A, pressures for option B, stressors for option C, and depressors for option D. So these are the 4 items that will be in the drop-down box, which will be in this blank for the person who is doing this problem to select from. Now, we would recommend that when you do your answer, you actually copy and paste from the actual selection list here so that you're ensured that these are spelled exactly the same. If, for example, you had accidentally left an S off here, this is what would be captured as the correct answer in the back-end data. And since this will never match any of these items, no matter what the user picks, they will never get the correct answer. So again, we would ask that you be careful with copy editing and proofreading to ensure that the answers match exactly what the selection types are. Again, you have the option to fill out an analysis in the metadata section, but again, these are optional just as above. If you had a second blank, which we could put in here, you would then need a way to show us how each blank is filled out correctly, since you could have the same drop-down list for each blank, or you could have a different one. So if you do more than one blank, you need to copy this section for each blank. So for blank 1, we're going to stick with those options. For blank 2, we're going to have some other options. So our other options down here are just going to be some random words. They're not really going to fit with the question itself, but you can see that they can be different than the ones that we have above. And we will have to have a different answer as well. Now again, you could use the same answer and same options as you did for the first blank. You could have the same drop-down options and a different answer as you had for the first blank, but you do have the ability to do both different ones up here and different ones down here. You can still only have one analysis, since the analysis is an overall text feedback that comes when you answer the question, but again, that's optional. That's not really needed. So these are the 2 different types, your regular fill-in-the-blank and your fill-in-the-blank select. And with these, you need to make sure that you're filling out all of the material that we've shown here so that we know what needs to go into these blanks if it's select, or what the correct answer is so that we can match it up directly.